Today I'm going to be drawing with some dual brush pens from Tombow using some Grayscale markers, brush pens markers. Here you can see a couple that I've done over the years. These are just some sketches that I've added just a little bit of tone to. Really just, it's really simple, I think, for what I do. This one's a little more complex here. These are just fun ways to add color, not color, excuse me, but more like value and add a little bit more pop to what is an otherwise black ink sketch on paper. So I'm going to work on this one here that I've got. This is a drawing I did a few years back, and I never inked it with color, grayscale, sorry about that. But today I am, and I'm going to be using, as I mentioned, these brush pens here. So this is a range of values. There are some warms and cools, grays, and there's a cool set. Like I said, I do like using these, adding some little bit of tone to my sketches every now and then. I've done this for a few commissions here and there, and they're a really nice alternative to someone ordering like a full color commission, which takes more time, but obviously costs a lot more. But again, these brush pens are really cool to work with. And I'm just going to kind of play around with these here and see if we can add a little bit of tone to this sketch here, which is, I think it's John Carter, Warlord of Mars is what the sketch is from. So let's go ahead and get started here. So got my markers, got my brush pen. I'm going to kind of focus starting out with the background, and I'm going to start light. I recommend always having some paper here that you can test and see how the values are going to turn out. That's pretty light, I think, so I'm going to start off with that mostly in the background here, and this is just going to add some subtle value. I may darken it some more as I work on this. You can layer it, obviously. These aren't watercolors, although this is like a watercolor based ink that's in here. But you can pretty much layer lightly and almost cautiously, going from light to dark. One of the cool things about if you're making these sketches is that I do tend to use some waterproof marker brush pens, so that when I go over the line work like this, it doesn't disrupt the ink that's already down there, which is very important, because you don't want to start smudging your inks around. So the ink from the line drawing, that is. So right here I'm just going to kind of play around and kind of add my own little interpretation of what I think the sky is going to be back here. And I'm just kind of playing with the brush, holding it differently. You can see I just start kind of noodling around here. A fun way to add some textures and some shapes. I'm using a lot of cools back here. I want to keep these background elements situated back in the background. And I'm just going to kind of sparsely add some tone here. I might add some warmth. In fact, I think I will, just to kind of have an interplay of warm and cool. This is a cooler gray I'm going in now with. I'm sorry, a warmer gray. And maybe put some warmth, a little bit of warmth here in these clouds. What I'm adding here wasn't in the original sketch, but instead I'm adding a little bit of this texture and dimension as part of this marker rendering phase. Okay, so far we're using pretty light colors, light values for this. For the ground that he is actually running on, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that's gonna add some real pop here. So let's just kind of try this out, see what this looks like. And I might just sparsely add it in there. And I can tell this is going to be a really good shadow color. Shadow value, I should say, to add to the rock, the ground here. And we're going to want to make this dark because it's in the foreground, and we can use that to help draw the attention in this particular area, or at least keep it there. And then I've got that in there. Let's see what other colors, what other values we've got. That's definitely cooler. And I think I'm going to add some of this warmer value here, just to the foreground here, the rocks that he is running on here. And that so far looks okay. I think what I might do is go grab this other color here, this other value. That's definitely a cooler, darker gray. Kind of want something that's maybe not quite so dark. That's also cooler. So this cooler color here, when I can see this, I can see myself adding it here and layering it to get a darker contrast with the background. It'll also create more of a contrast with the figure. So this is a good one here. Good color to use. Good grayscale tone to use. And so just going to add this here, layering that on top. And again, this is not, I mean, for me, I really just have fun with adding these extra little bumps in value, again, to create more contrast with the sketch itself. I'm going to take, let's see. And the thing is, I've always got to check with these pens to make sure I'm using a value that I think is going to work. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just simply going to layer more of this color over the existing color, which is the same grayscale value I used, same grayscale marker, just to create more contrast. Make those shadows a bit darker. And then maybe for the buildings in the background, the structures, let's see, try this cool brush here. Yeah, we'll go back to this cool brush. And I don't want to fill everything. I don't want to fill the structures necessarily, but I just want to add just enough variation in these structures back there, just to kind of like give them some dimension, but I don't want them to pop to the front. And if I were to color them, that's what would happen if I were to put more tone down there. Let's see. So here's a nice cool color I'm going to add, and I may use these kind of cool colors here, and they are pretty bold, but I'm just going to use them sparingly. Like maybe I'll just outline the edges of these windows, or add like a little side value there, maybe under here. There, just making little marks, just enough to give a little bit of depth. Okay, cool. And I'm going to go back, let's see if I figure out which marker this was. Okay, as I am seeing that I want to kind of fill in this area here a bit more. Yeah, it's pretty cool to use these markers in this way. I do a lot of this stuff back when I was doing paintings like acrylic or oil. I would use kind of like these markers and create a value study. And again, just a really cool way to kind of figure out where you want to spot your highlights and where you want to spot your shadows. So here now I'm taking this cooler color, this cooler gray. I'm kind of starting to mix it in with the rocks here, foreground. And one thing I do want to do is add, let's see, this warm tone here. So See what happens if I add a little bit of a heavier stroke to the front, to these front rocks here, the rock in the foreground here. And that's going to make them pop even more. So with that, I think the figure itself, I will start to work on that. And here I am going to kind of play with the colors here. This blue color, I am thinking I'm going to want to use it for like maybe the shadows here to add some interest there. I'll also maybe use it kind of like just outside of the shadow area, kind of like it's like a cooler halftone almost. And then I don't want to touch too much of the blue. The reason why I'm using this cooler shade is because I'm trying to pick up some of the cools up here and have that kind of showing in the shadow areas, because the shadows can reflect the sky or the temperature, or that's dominant. And overall this is generally cooler up here, but then like here's some nice shadows I've got in here, and I'm just gonna accent that, or fill it I should say, with this cooler pen. Okay, maybe something like that. And then for the other parts of his costume and his the body here, I'm going to use this really warm gray here. It's very light. I'm just going to build up just a little bit, ever so small amount of value. Because I still want mainly his body to pop out against the background. This is going to be very subtle here. The face, got to be really careful. Too much detail and you can just totally screw it up. Maybe a little bit of shadow underneath the nose. Again, it's going to be very subtle. Knees have a little more color in them. Some tone in there. And again, this is really just going to add just a little bit of extra pop to the sketch, right? It's not going to drastically overhaul the look of it, but it's just meant to give it just a little bit of some more interest and by way of adding some value to the sketch. And then for his costume, I am going to build up some color a little bit more here throughout. There's the boot. Okay. His hand, these wrist things that he's wearing. And then with the wrist, like these elements here, I'm going to outline them just a little bit. Just going to give them a little bit of something to make them kind of pop out. And here, so his hair, I'm going to darken that up a little bit as well. And this is like a shadow area, so I'll put a little bit of that blue in there. I think that looks distinguished. And so yeah, put some maybe a little bit more blue here, back right here, kind of close that up. And if I really want to make this pop more, I'll start layering in even more of this cool blue here. That's going to make the buildings pop a little more. It'll make his figure pop a little more. Create some kind of separation between the lower 2/3 and the upper third. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that. Add in some of this tone here. And so that this lower background horizon is darkening up. That's okay. I don't mind that. I'm going to put most of the focus up here anyway. But the focus is on the character here. And then see from here, you know, I might just go back into the moon, the planets in the background, and always check your values here of the brush. Maybe give this planet here a little bit more of a shadow to show some more of the form. Same thing with this one here, or the planet or moon. And then there's this little one right here I almost forgot. Again, adding just a little bit of value here into his face, not a whole lot. Doesn't really need a whole lot. Doesn't want the face to stand out and to remain clear. And you can easily get too busy in there. I'm going to shade a little bit more of this hair here. And again, you can build up values throughout by just simply layering more of the marker ink on here. So this is I think about it right here. About, I don't know, 10 minutes worth of sketching with these color markers. Not a bad deal. Certainly fun to work. It's certainly cool to kind of come up with some ideas as far as, you know, if you're working on a larger piece, like where would you put your values? And this, I think, is a pretty cool way to do it, is exploring value with these grayscale markers, because I think that's kind of what they're here for. You know, at least kind of like in my approach, I can again kind of figure out, you know, where should I put my highlights, where should I kind of focus the attention on. And if I were to take this to do, like, say I did a full painting, I can already see that I'm developing like a 1/3, 2/3 type composition, where that would kind of help put the focus here on the main character, the figure here in the sketch. So that was a sketch that I added some grayscale to using a cool set of Tombow Dual Brush Pens. Thanks for watching.